Oh. Welcome to Meaningful Mornings. This morning, we complete 1 month of this semester. This morning, we complete 120 weeks into the Bhagavad Gita. This morning, we complete 1,080 days of this purpose, of this community. 1 month, 120 weeks, 1,080 days. What are we doing together? These are long periods. What are we doing? The path of least resistance, when one lives without an ideal. In Sanskrit, this is called karma anusari. One is doing, but that purpose, that ideal, is not authentic and deep. Shared differently, one lowers the expectation they have of themselves. In contrast, when one has a purpose, an ideal, one is buddhi anusari. Their lifestyle is towards this vision. Shared differently, it's when one raises the expectation they have of themselves. What are we doing together? Growing out of lowering our expectations of ourselves and growing into raising the expectation of ourselves. I zoomed into this a lot in our parenting culture space yesterday. I keep reminding parents and caregivers that you are a seeker before you are a parent or a caregiver. When that is forgotten, that's where one becomes karma anusari. One is doing. They have lowered the expectation of themselves. There's a lot of justification then. But when one remembers they're a seeker before all other roles and responsibilities, then they keep raising the expectation of themselves. They feel more balance, more happiness, more peace. 1,080, if you analyze this in terms of degrees, that would be 3 rotations, correct? 360 times 3. That's sort of like in our culture, how we engage in pradakshina. Yes, my body, mind, and intellect revolve around purpose, ideal. Or my waking, dream, sleep state revolve around purpose, ideal. A gauge for all of us as we begin the completion of Bhagavad Gita. This week we complete the 600th verse. How independent have you become? Are you becoming? After you complete 3 pradakshinas, or move in a circle 3 times around an icon, an altar, then you prostrate. Not away from that, but towards that. The more inward looking you become, the more independent you become. So gauge that for yourself. Chapter 15 has the theme of limitlessness, but approaching this from a scholarly way. It is the spirit of Bhagavad Gita. Chapter 16 is the first appendix on this spirit. This has the theme of lifestyle. If you want to be limitless, if you want to feel limitlessness, you can't have the same lifestyle. There has to be Shastra, which means math, which comes from the word Shasana, which means direction. One's lifestyle has to be more directed towards purpose, ideal, and so on. Chapter 17 is the second appendix. 16 is lighter, 17 is heavier. 16 is about our lifestyle, 17 is about our likeness or faith. Whatever you don't have faith in, your lifestyle doesn't move in that direction. Whatever you do have faith in, your lifestyle moves in that direction. In the first verse, Prince Arjuna doesn't necessarily ask a question, but is more stating inhibition he has. And that is, what if I am trying to follow through with all that you've taught, yet I falter? I forget this, or I do that incorrectly. That is what is meant by one doesn't follow the directions of the Shastra, but still has Shraddha. One is trying, but one is not perfect. Ujjaswami Tejomayananda shared. One doesn't follow a map to divinity, for 3 reasons. From most innocent to most vicious. Number 1, it is out of ignorance. They don't know divinity. So there's no need for a map then. Many of us, until perhaps a midlife crisis, had no relationship with the trust triangle. Ignorance. The second is indifference. Indifference. Where they have access to the map, but they don't access the map. They don't remember it, so they don't practice it. Are you analyzing who you are? You're looking around. That person's definitely indifferent. Tell us the third one so we can label the other person. The third is insolence. Insolence. One has access to the map, and they don't ignore it, but they move against it. This is what Sri Krishna taught, but he's wrong. This is what Sri Krishna taught, but my interpretation is the right one. All that's happening towards the caste system is insolence. There is no caste system. There is a Varna classification or color classification. See how insolence plays out and is dangerous. So now you analyze yourself. Is there traces of ignorance, indifference, insolence? I want you to remember the word indifference because that will be your application for today. Verse 2. Trivida bhavati shraddha dehinam sa swabhavaja satviki rajasi chaiva tamasi cheti tam shrunu. And my apologies for not sharing in advance. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. Shri Krishna shares. He's sharing joy, specifically. Trivida, there's a division of three, a classification. Bhavati, in regards to or towards, Shraddha, which means faith. I've also shared with you the Sanskrit definition of Shraddha means to hold on. The practical definition of Shraddha is follow through. Whatever you have faith in, you do follow through in. And if you find that you're not following through, it is easy to say that I have faith, but the fact is you don't, or you don't have enough. Pujaswami Chinmayananda has shared two references for us to know what faith is. The capacity in the human intellect not only to know and appreciate the Shastra, but also to absorb and assimilate the noble ideals so completely as to bear upon all their actions is called Shraddha. Paraphrasing, your faith plays out in your actions, which is why we share actions speak louder than words. One more insight from Pujaswami Chinmayananda. Shraddha determines the texture of our impressions in us, which in turn commands our view of life. Our desires, thoughts, and actions are charted by our view of life. The implication is faith pervades our thoughts, our words, our actions. Do not underestimate what faith is and how it affects you and I. Dehinam means for one who feels they're the body, a human. So a bhavaja, this faith is inherent to them. So a bhava, it's deeper than their lifestyle and their body and breath. Pujaswami Tejomayananda shared. Please reflect on this a lot. In the moment of death, in this moment, we come to know who we are. Why? Because in the moment of death, there are no defense mechanisms. You can't fake yourself. Reflect on what your moment of death will look like, and you never know when that moment is going to come, but this is a great practice in getting to know your faith. Satviki, Rajasi, Tamasi. This faith is of three qualities. And you know this already. Sattvic, Rajasic, Tamasic. Trying to make a connection here. In chapter 14, the gunas were shared in general. Quietness, aggressiveness, laziness. You all remember this, yes? Then in chapter 16, the gunas are shared again, but in specifics. The one who's quiet has all of these values. The one who's aggressive and lazy has all of these vices. The best commentary on Bhagavad Gita is Bhagavad Gita. And this is why you must never study this by yourself. Because our ego will inhibit us from knowing all of these details. How many times, I think on a daily basis, I share, this is what Puja Swami Chinmayananda taught. This is what Puja Swami Tejomayananda taught. Vivek is just an access card. That's it. You can call me access card. I know my role. I know my responsibility. Tam Shrunu. Listen to me as I elaborate on this. That's how Sri Krishna closes this verse. One more reflection for everyone. Now, us feeling the moment of death for many that's too far, too abstract, etc. The moment of aloneness also is indicative of who you are. When you are alone, you just woke up or you're just about to go to sleep, what you think of is who you are. Right now, everyone's cameras are on. So we see each other. We know there's another entity. So we're thinking about Bhagavad Gita, meaningful mornings. But fast forward an hour from now, if you're working from home, studying from home, volunteering from home, then how do you behave? And what do you say? And what are your thoughts of? That's who you are. I've repeatedly shared, invest more in aloneness. Date yourself so that you can know your faith and refine this. From inspiration to application, your application was to engage in asana. That is our yoga class from 7:15 to 7:45. How many of you joined today and you didn't join the day before? Wonderful. Please do so. We've studied a lot about yamas and niyamas. Get to know the asanas. That way the whole ladder, and more is to come, pranayama, pratyahara, you'll just be ready for this. Your application for this morning. Yesterday in our parenting culture class, I was sharing with them in a very transparent way. I've been married for more than 13 years. I have 2 children who collectively have been alive for more than 10 years. All of my immediate family members are alive, parents, sisters, etc. So I have a lot of relationships. And so a lot of experience with relationships. My observation on my life is short-term teaching, short-term techniques don't work. They don't. Long-term teachings and techniques do work. Work for what I want and need, which is peace. When one teaches the short term, they tend to be softer. When one has to teach the long term, they have to be harder because a lot of breaking of habits and vasanas are needed. I want you to rate me. 1 is completely soft. 100 is completely hard. Vivek as an access card, what I teach, the techniques I share, are they soft on you or hard on you? What kind of teacher or access card am I? Okay. I expect you to share this online and in the chat tomorrow. See, already you're saying, then you're hard. If you have expectations of us, then 100. What's more than 100? Shanti, 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 be joy.